Hi, my name is Marcia Pinvidic. I'm the chair of the Education Direction Committee, and I'm so pleased that you are joining us on our Travel in Tune adventures as we travel around the globe to the regions of Sweet Adelines International. Today we are visiting Region 26, the Canadian Maple Leaf region. This is my home region. Region 26 consists of 3 Canadian provinces, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia. And it also includes the Yukon Territories, Northwest Territories, and the Canadian Territory of Nunavut. This means our region crosses the Canadian prairies, the Rocky Mountains, all the way out to the Pacific coast of Canada, and all the way north to the geographical North Pole. Region 26's presentation promises to be entertaining, fun, educational, and inspirational. I hope you'll continue our journeys around the globe by checking out our website and finding the Travel in Tune there, and also downloading the app. So sit back and relax, enjoy the Region 26's excellent Canadian expedition.
Today we're going to have fun with some activities that integrate the 2 hemispheres of the brain in order to enhance grounding and focus. So let's have fun with these. Join me if you will. Our first one has 2 actions: arms out, fingers to shoulders. You can choose any 2 actions you like. These are the ones I chose for today. We're going to sing My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. And every time we sing a word that starts with the letter B, you're going to change your action. So we'll start out here. Here we go. 1, 2, let's sing. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. My Bonnie lies over the sea. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. So bring back my Bonnie to me. Bring back, oh bring back my Bonnie to me, to me. Bring back, oh bring back my Bonnie to me. The next one we're going to do follows the words that are written up here. The rhythm is left, right, you're wrong, it's not right, it's left, and you'll find it left, right where you left it. That's right. The trick with this one is that we're going to be marching. Every time we say left, you should be on your left foot. Every time we say right, you should be on your right foot. Shall we try it? So just march left, right, left, right, left, right. Here we go. Left, right. You're wrong, it's not right, it's left, and you'll find it left, right where you left it. That's right. A little tricky when you have to do that pause at the end. Let's try it once more. Here we go. March it out. Left, left, and here we go. Left, right. You're wrong. It's not right. It's left, and you'll find it left, right where you left it. That's right. Take the index finger of one hand, and in front of you, draw a rectangle. Relax that hand. With your other index finger in front of you, draw a triangle. You can choose any shapes you like. And here we go. Let's put it together. Here we go, and so on. Show me 2 index fingers, and now 2 thumbs. How about 1 index finger and a thumb? And switch, and switch, and switch, and switch, and switch, and switch. Let's say the alphabet. Here we go. It's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now let's count. So keep your fingers going. Here we go. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. If you need to engage even more of your brain, you can put it all together. We'll just do a small section of this. So get your fingers going. Here we go. We're going to put it all together in 3, 2, 1. A1, B2, C3, D4, E5, F6, G7, H8, I9, J10, and so on, all the way to the end of the alphabet. For this next one, you need to determine 4 actions. I've chosen head, shoulders, clap, and legs. So do it with me. Head, shoulders, clap, legs. Head, shoulders, clap. I'm going to mix it up. Shoulders, head, shoulders, legs. Clap, head, clap, legs. How did you do? Now's the time to find out if you're a visual or auditory person. I'm going to do the same thing, but my words are not going to match my actions. And I would like you to do as I say, not as I do. Let's give this one a try. Here we go. Clap, legs, clap, shoulders, shoulders, clap, legs, head. How did you do following that? This time I would like you to do as I do, not as I say. Here we go. Clap, shoulders, head, clap, head, shoulders, clap, head, shoulders, legs. Did you notice? The last one was exactly what I said. I did and I said the same thing. That's a little bit of a mix-up for me. Awesome job. Take one hand and raise it up and down and up and down. The other hand is going to go up, side, and down. Now we're going to put them both together. Are you ready? Here we go. Up, side, and down. Last one. There we go. The key to this one is not to think about the hand that's going up and down. It just happens automatically. Here's one more. Arm comes in, tuck, up, and out. In, tuck, up, and out. Your other hand. In, tuck, up, and out. In, tuck, up, and out. Here's the key to this one. You're doing the same thing with both hands, but one hand is going to follow one beat behind. Are you ready to try this? Here we go. In. One more. Good job. Drummers have to use all their limbs for different rhythms. So let's practice being drummers. Take one foot and you're gonna tap and hold for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The other foot is going to be a 2 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One hand is going to be quarter notes, 1 count each. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you have one hand left. So let's add some 8th notes. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Here we go. Good job. The last thing I'd like to leave you with is some rhythm echoes. I will clap a rhythm, 2 measures, 4 beats each, and then I would like you to echo it for me. Here we go.
Hello everyone, my name is Cammi MacKinlay and I am a lifetime member of Lionsgate Chorus and Region 26. Last spring, I was honored and surprised to be the recipient of the inaugural Cammi MacKinlay Excellence in Leadership Award. And part of that presentation was an interview of me by the marketing coordinator, Stacey Rose. The interview covered my personal journey in Sweet Adelines, but also what it takes to be a leader and what we look for in potential leaders. What you're about to watch is a couple of excerpts from that interview. We were also delighted to have the immediate past president, Patty Cobb Baker, and board member Leslie Galbreath participate in the call. Leslie has a PhD in leadership, and you will hear their thoughts on the topic too. Please enjoy.
What is it that you look for, or how do you recognize and nurture potential leaders? Who wants to go first? I mean, I can't just ask one of you. There's 3 of you here that are amazing.
Well, I think Cammi has to go first, since she's the woman of the hour.
Well, I think actually what you just said about the title thing, I think is really true. I look for people who have that servant leader heart, who are willing to step up and do things without waiting for remuneration or now I'm not even talking about money. I'm talking about reward, or it's not the title that's important. It's just the doing, the being willing to be part of the bigger picture and helping and moving things forward without thinking, well, what's in it for me? Because I think that's really important. And also somebody who is clearly interested in helping other people as well and nurturing other people, and is not doing it because they're getting glory. It's because, we're all in this together. We're a team. Let's just work this out and do it together. So yeah, I certainly look for that. And I have a lot of experience in life. So I also look for people who perhaps could benefit from the experiences that I have and are interested in listening to what I have to say about the experiences that I've had in my life as well, because some of them are really quite valuable and have helped me out a lot. So yeah, so somebody who's willing to listen. Honesty, absolutely. I want somebody who is honest, who's not going to lie to me and say they've done something when they haven't done it. So yeah, integrity. The 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. All of those agreements are really important to me as well. So yeah, that's what I look for. I look for people who are interested in being better versions of themselves, I think.
Yeah, I think she's kind of said it all, but there's never been a sentence that I wouldn't follow with more words. So if you know me, no, there's a certain spirit about a person that you feel almost that and I like when Cammi said they just want to be a part of and contribute to and help, and you can feel that spirit about them, and they will take the crappy jobs. They won't just they don't just want the ones that get the spotlight, or like I can remember I was in chair of the boots in my chorus. Was one of the first job I had was putting together the potluck for after one of our shows, and then the second one was I had to order boots for everyone. And I remembered that. Now I learned a lot from it, and that's another thing that you want to see. I learned that the average size of a woman's foot is size 8, and it's really hard to find 11s that are wide. But anyway,
you digress.
But no, I don't, because that's what you want. You want to see that they want to learn.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to do a job that they've never done before. Yeah. That they go after it, and they're not afraid to fail, to learn from that and to grow. So you look at that aspect of courage that Leslie talked about and Cammi brought it, is real important to risk takers, in a way, in the good kind of risk taking, not the dumb kind. So yeah, those are the things, and that they follow through. That if they say they're going to do something, they do it, and then you look at the quality of it, you know. So you're looking at all of those things, but those are the essentials, I think.
So for me, I will add that there's a certain sort of energy that that people bring to a conversation, and there's some sort of spark, and I call it the gets it crowd. And you've probably heard me say that. They're the folks who can very quickly assimilate a lot of information and see a way forward that might not be obvious to other people, or might be different than the ways that other people would do it. But there's a real energy, and like they've said, a willingness to learn. That from all experience is, you take that and you move forward with whatever that is, and you do it. You're willing to do the work that goes with whatever it is that you're trying to do. So.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
So what is leadership? Who is a leader? All those kinds of things. Lots and lots of thoughts about that. Common themes: honesty, integrity, vision. I heard her talk about that earlier tonight. Mm-hmm. Confidence, courage, lots and lots of courage. I'm looking at a lot of courage across the bottom of my screen right here. Positivity, yes. Creativity, absolutely. Empathy, and dedication and devotion. And then, as Patty just talked about in the Sweet Adelines organization, the importance of having a servant's heart and being a servant leader and keeping the people, the members of the organization at the forefront of all you do and all that you think about. So mostly about leadership, we know it when we see it. And it's not something that you read about or that you talk about, it's something that you do and something that you live every day. And I've certainly been honored to be at the table with some amazing leaders, not just the International Board table, but lots and lots of other Sweet Adeline tables through the years as well.
In addition to the qualities that Leslie has listed, I would also like to add that I look for people with initiative, those who are proactive rather than merely reactive, and those who are willing to go the distance with a project or task, and maybe throw in a touch of charisma as well. I hope you enjoyed these insights into leadership. If you would like to watch the entire presentation, please go to Region 26's webpage at region26.ca. The link to it is on the front page. Thank you for being here today, and if you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact me further. Stay safe and stay strong.
Hello, my My name is Pat Fry, and I've been singing with the West Coast Harmony Chorus in beautiful Surrey, British Columbia for well over 30 years now. I have had the pleasure of representing our region on the international and regional stage with the chorus and in a number of quartets that I've had over the years. I'm the assistant director and co-visual communications manager, and I've been coaching regionally for quite a few years now, and I seem to find a way to maneuver myself into the conversations and opportunities in this area that we're about to discuss today, which is entertainment packages. And it's possibly one of the most favorite things I've ever done, which is the part about the emceeing and the dialogue and creating the actual presentation that you do. Other than the singing part, it's all the stuff around it. Both have to be excellent to be successful. Today, we brought together a small group of extremely talented and creative people to discuss the ins and outs of performance packaging. From conception to stage, we're chatting about all things that are part of the entertainment package.
Janice Caravan. Janice has been singing and dancing with the Desert Sounds Harmony Chorus for 30 years in beautiful Kamloops, BC, and she's been directing the chorus for the past 16. Lisa Greenough is the Master Director of Gateway Chorus from Edmonton, Alberta, and is an approved visual communications judge, formerly known as showmanship. Lynn Tatten. Lynn has been a Sweet Adeline for over 35 years and has had many incredible moments on the regional and international stage, originally with West Coast Harmony Chorus and then with Lionsgate Chorus. And along the way, she sang with this little Canadian quartet called Brava. Lynn was the lead, of course, and Brava was Region 26's first all-Canadian quartet to win internationally and become the Queens of Harmony in 2004. Lisa Hills. For over 20 years, Lisa has been singing, dancing, and script writing as a member of West Coast Harmony Chorus. Lisa is a certified director, is an assistant director with West Coast, and the lead section leader. Judy Pozsgay. Judy has been singing and entertaining in Sweet Adelines for almost 30 years, with Lionsgate and now with Acapella Joy Chorus. She's a member of the international faculty and is a certified visual communication judge. That's formerly the showmanship judge. Judy is also a Queen of Harmony singing bass with the incredibly entertaining Frenzy Quartet, winning the crowns in 2017. Jan Carley. Jan has been singing with Lionsgate Chorus for over 25 years and has contributed in a lasting way to the culture and style of the chorus through her professional career as a certified executive coach and as a lover of the stage and a performer.
Our panel has a great blend of expertise, and our goal really is to invite curiosity and interest in developing scripts and package ideas and to make them highly entertaining. We also want to encourage and promote the unique benefits that working on this type of performance can have on your members. You'll be surprised at how much fun it is. Let's get going. I wanted to pickle your brains a little bit about when you're preparing or choosing to prepare for a open division or a harmony classic, something that's less structured, obviously, than the contest setting, the two songs of the contest set. I wanted to start with the open division at regional competition. How does working on an open division set differ from working on a standard contest set? Like, what is the difference?
We, as a chorus, feel that it is a bit more work sometimes, actually most of the time, but it's totally worth it if you want to have a bit more fun, get creative, and try something a little different. The whole chorus needs to be involved in that process. I think the other thing also is knowing your time limit.
What is the time limit?
Open division itself has been 10 minutes. So
10 minutes, yeah, okay. And,
yeah, doubling on that, it's certainly more work. There's more songs often. And my experience has been is that they start huge, Usually the first time you run it, it's about 25 minutes, right, Janice, to get through the whole set. And then you got to keep paring it down and paring it down and paring it down to get, you know, the best funnies out of it, the best feels out of it, depending on what the mood of the package is, and get it in that time frame. And really highlight the chorus, highlight their personality. My favorite part about Open Division is that, of course, many of our smaller choruses have taken advantage of Open Division since it became an event contest, and they've really been able to shine. They've been able to show their personalities. They've been able to show who they are. I love that we've gotten to know more choruses in more regions that we don't necessarily always get to see a lot of, other than their 2 songs.
Yes.
So that's been one of the biggest advantages I've seen, for sure.
Well, more fun though. Lynn, how did you get down that road to figure out a theme or a story? Or
I think from my perspective as a coach, it is a lot more work. It's a ton more work, but it also, you really need to be open to new ideas. If you're writing a script, it can't be written in stone. It's going to morph. It's going to change depending on who's coming in to coach you. If they have a showmanship sort of background, they're going to notice things that might make it better. They're going to take out things. They're going to, really tweak things a lot. So you have to be flexible, and that can scare a chorus in some ways, because they're kind of what's going to come next. I've already learned that. Now I got to learn something else. It doesn't matter if it's a quartet, a chorus, or even an individual. You've got to be flexible. The comedy, if you're going to put it in there, the audience has to get it. It can't be an inside sort of thing. It has to be current, something current in the world, or whatever you're trying to do as a comedy bit has to be clear. And that is hard.
There's nothing worse than explaining a punchline.
Exactly. Yeah. So comedy, and there's also timing and delivery in that. And the emotional stuff you sing too. If you're singing a ballad in an Open Division song, it really has to blend with the comedy. It's got to show the other side of the comedy.
Right.
And the last thing I want to say is, I think the Open Division for choruses and quartets is the best way to start. If you've never done this before, this is fun. There is no, oh my God, I'm going to be judged, and all those fears that we have when we're competing. I love the Open Division for that. You have a little bit of freedom to make a mistake,
right?
And you're not judged harshly, and it's a great first experience.
Awesome. How did you decide, okay, we're going to be pirates? Like, what was the creative process that took you down that road?
Well, first of all, you got to start way in advance before you even get to that point. So the planning process starts as far ahead of time as you possibly can, and as much further ahead of time than you normally would. In order to select the theme, initially we do some brainstorming with the chorus as a whole. And we tried different methods, just like any goal setting session. We would go into small groups, go into partners, and just try to generate ideas that way. Once that process was completed, then we found that working with just a smaller creative team helped us stay more focused on actually getting the plan together. So definitely start by involving the chorus. You definitely want to involve your whole group into the big picture. And then when you're ready to focus, bring it to a smaller focused creative team.
So your chorus is how many people, Janice?
We hover around the 20 member.
In terms of the creative process for Open Division, because I often am brought in to create a whole package. Like, the chorus has decided they want to go and do this, but they don't necessarily feel they have, what they need to create a package. And so I go in, and I love it when I have lots of time to do that, because the first night that I'm with them, I just have them sing their entire repertoire for me, so that I can just listen, and you can hear the joy. You can hear the songs that the chorus loves to sing as a whole. And it's like, check mark, that one's going in. And they sing another one, and that they just, they love to sing that song, and check mark, that's going in. And I think that that's been the best benefit to open division, because there's lots of songs that all of our choruses love to sing, but they're not contest songs. So, you know, I mean, a handful of us get to sing them on our Show of Champions performances on Saturday night, and so we get to showcase that. But many of our smaller choruses and that they don't have that opportunity to sing the songs that they love to sing. And so, you know, that's usually where it starts for me with a group, is hearing the songs that they love the most, and then I generally will take those recordings back with me and listen to them again and again and again, and start to see where what they're singing and how they're singing it takes me. Where does my brain go? Do I picture a camping trip? Do I picture a, you know, whatever it might turn into?
And you got to take into consideration their own style, of course, right? And the personality of the director and all that. So really, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can start big, boil it down to your own internal groups to work through an idea. Because really, we're talking about just figuring things out in the beginning right now, or work with an outside person to come in and take all your pieces and sift them through to finally kind of come down to something. It's possible to do it in many ways. Now I'm going to jump over to the Harmony Classic section. Lisa Hills and West Coast, we've been to Harmony Classic a few times, and we finally got that gold medal we wanted. And I wanted to ask Lisa in particular, and I'll jump in here too. But once your story or your theme has been identified, say we've just done whatever it is that we've just done, as Lisa and Janice were talking about, and Lynn, once it's identified, how do you approach the writing of the lines? How do you start getting those words on paper?
Right. So I think it does start, like Janice touched on it, you do start with a larger brainstorming. We don't necessarily use the whole chorus, but we usually have a group of 10 to 15. When it comes to writing the script, you can't have all of that in the room. You take the best pieces out of the brainstorm. And then I think in terms of writing, it will depend on who you have and the skills you have in the chorus. But I think most of the time you're going to have probably one main writer and then maybe a strong editor type person that works together as a team. But I think from having a consistent voice through the scripting, you want to have one main writer. At least that's been my experience. It could vary. If you have two people that really co-write well together, then boom, you've got it. But oftentimes what'll happen is if you have two people with two very different styles trying to write together, they'll either be too polite to each other and they'll kind of get a muddled result. So I always think a nice strong voice coming through that. Your writer should also be very open. It's been mentioned, the script is going to change numerous times. You have to be prepared to get rid of that joke that you love so much because it doesn't serve the package at the end of the day, or what it morphs into. It might have been perfect in the beginning, but by the end, it just doesn't serve in that spot. Editing is huge. Keeping the script tight is super important, especially with the time limits, but also from keeping your audience engaged. Long paragraphs of flowing prose is not what's going to keep your audience engaged. So you want to keep funneling it down, down, and down. And as you keep working the script, those edits got to keep going. So,
and I have to add here, Lisa, that once you kind of have that first cut, and you start rehearsing it with your people, it starts to evolve organically anyway.
Yes.
Like you can't prescribe it quite clearly initially. You always start with this openness feel. And even though you think you know what you're going to do, things happen during rehearsal that you love even more than what happens on the script. I love that part of it because it's so, it just happens on the fly and it becomes so creative. But keep going.
Well, and what I was going to say is it's going to morph a lot depending on who you end up with speaking the lines. Now, and it also will depend on the style of script that you end up with, but certainly from a written perspective, as a writer, you might have written the script in a certain cadence in your own voice. And then once you have someone that you've chosen for that role and they really fit really well, there may be certain lines that just don't sit on them well. And so you have to be prepared to kind of tweak it because you want it to come out as natural. A lot of our members, MCs, are not trained actors that could take any possible line and make it wonderful. So you want to kind of fit it into what their cadence is and what their voice is in order to really like let that line or that script fly. So that's super important to keep in mind too, to keep that tweaking going on.
When you coach these actors, non-actors, other than trying to let them know that these words are kind of a guide, like, yes, here's what we want to convey, but so if they don't actually have that ability to make it their own, how do you coach them through that?
And so it's knowing your MCs and knowing your actors. I do tend to write out the script and I will tweak the script and for the cadence, and then I would expect those lines, that's how you morph. It's still written down and those are the lines being delivered. So you want to work with them in such a way. Pacing is really big with me when I'm working with a chorus or a group, and working with your MCs probably outside of chorus, so you're not taking chorus time. And then I'll talk a little bit more about working with the chorus itself. But when you're working with the MCs, you want to, especially if there's back and forth, that's really important when you're working with people that are not super used to working in theater or acting. And so you can use techniques like they do in the theater, which like they do Italian runs, which is just running your lines as fast as they can, so that you get used to the faster pace. Especially when there's back and forth, you want to get them used to being able to repartee off of each other. So that's one thing that you can do, is just have them, without necessarily acting it out, but just run lines until they're super comfortable coming in right away. And then you take a look and say, okay, we need to slow these pieces down. We need to take more of a beat on this right here. We need a moment of silence, and here's how you hold a silence with an audience, because that could be more powerful than any words being spoken if it's done the right way. Otherwise, it's awkward.
The other thing, and speaking to your process, that really quick process is, you know, I know as an audience member, I sit and cringe sometimes when I watch the MC from the top of the fifth row coming down all those risers and taking that time away, that precious time away from the performance, and having those cues in the script too, to make sure your next person or the feature person is ready, like a good 2 phrases ahead of time kind of thing. And so coaching that, actually, people don't think of that sometimes. They just think, oh, I have a line, I need to, you know, provide it kind of thing.
Well, and that's working with not only with your MCs, but also working with the other big character in your script, which is your chorus. So there's a couple different things about that. There's the transitioning, absolutely. So how do we get the MCs to where they need to be in order to not have that sort of awkward transition time, usually while things are singing? And so you need to work that. Those are the pieces that I would work most with the chorus in the room, is those transitions. The other thing is working with that other character, which is the chorus, because they could easily distract from the MCs if they don't know what their role is in any particular type. And I'm not just talking about the reaction shots that a lot of choruses may do, like everybody gasp here. That's certainly one piece of it, but they need to be holding space for the MCs out front if something really intense is happening or whatever. If they're not engaged in the same energy and flowing their energy the right way, then they're pulling focus from the audience up front. And so that would be a lot of the coaching that I would do with the chorus in the room, is those transitions. And then what are you guys doing? Let the MCs run their stuff out front, because you probably already worked with them, and then work with the chorus, and then work with on the transitions. It's like, okay, you need to move like this way and that way to let this person through. Okay, when you do that, I'm seeing it happen. So how do we get that more seamless, so you're not, as an audience member, noticing that transition happening until all of a sudden, poof, the MC appears where they're supposed to be.
Janice, you had a comment you wanted to?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Lisa was saying about the whole just magical process of script writing. I'll give you a bit more of a small chorus perspective. When you are working on your script, make sure that it follows a storyline. So make sure you have a good solid beginning to your story, a good arc, and a really satisfying completion of the story.
Everybody's nodding. That's a big one.
Yeah, found that is very, very helpful. Also, what we've learned, and because in the open division we have such a tight timeline, what we've learned is that the spoken parts of the script need to be kept to a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
We found it's more effective if we propel the story forward using visual elements and within the singing of the songs. So those are things that we have found. So if you're not great on creating a wonderful script, focus on telling the story visually or within the singing of the songs. And also expect that many rewrites will happen.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Nothing is precious. Nothing is, you have to serve the story at the end of the day. So even though that line is brilliant, even though that joke is hilarious, if you have to do a shoehorn to get it in, get it out.
It's about timing, it's rehearsal, it's about making sure everybody's on board too. We didn't talk about the philosophy of going in this direction. Lynn, would you like to?
I think there's a big element here that we've kind of forgotten about, and that is singing well. This, your package could be hilarious. You could be poignant. You can be all these things and have the perfect, but you want to sing well as well. I mean a great package isn't going to work if the chorus is not in tune with that. The chorus needs to buy in. They have to be on board no matter what. They have to trust the people out front.
Just to speak to Lynn's point about the singing well, so part of that is when you are scheduling rehearsal, if you're the one running the package or doing the artistic direction, that's being super respectful of the music time. And so what elements of the package can you run outside of regular chorus so that the time that you're taking to run transitions and to run all of that is still allowing a lot of musical rehearsal time to happen. Your musical director will love you.
I am now going to bring in Jan and Judy, and now I'm going to want to ask some input about and information around preparing for a top 10. That's what we all dream of ever getting there. And I know that Jan and Judy have been there many times with Lionsgate, and I would just love to hear more. And I have some specific things which I did want to ask you. So, and I'm going to start with chorus or quartet culture. And how does the quartet culture come into play when even thinking how to start? And maybe I'll start with you, Judy, just with your amazing performances with Frenzy and on the international stage. So.
Knowing your assets and really identifying your strengths within the ensemble, whether it's chorus or quartet, and then featuring those assets and not trying to shoehorn other elements in. So with Frenzy, for example, the whole diva shtick came about somewhat as an accident, and we kind of saw that it was successful because we had a certain individual in the quartet who could play that role really, really convincingly, shockingly, and so that became our shtick, and we featured that. And as the years went by, we had the privilege to do a number of different finals packages at international, and so we were able to have it evolve. The challenge then became, how do we outdo the last thing that we did, right? And still keep that kernel of the diva bit, but how could we present it in a different way to keep it fresh? And so then we eventually started to identify, well, we could have each member be featured in a different way. So then we played to the strengths of Melissa being the mom, so her character seemed to revolve around that, and the baritone to her organization and just being a baritone, really. And somehow I became a middle-aged woman, so, but we took what was sort of something that we could really relate to and really play off, because we're not all professional actors. So we have to keep it as real for us and then as universal themes for the audience, right? So everything that we did always was driven by what can be true to us and what could be true to the audience. And everything that was put forward was always with the question of, well, why? Like, what's the why behind every decision that was made in the scripting? Our process was that I would write the scripts, we would as everybody has said here before, we would run it, we'd personalize it, it would evolve. And it was really important that we made the space for each other to interact, as well as allowing it to evolve for what would work for the audience.
I wanted you to elaborate on making space for. Can you, because there's two ways to do that, or a few ways to do that. So can you just talk about that a little bit more?
So yeah, so I would come with the script, and then they would destroy it, and I was like shocked and dismayed. So I had to like let go of some ego there and say, maybe this is better, or maybe this will flow better. Then we'd have to run it with each other, and we would play off of each other. And it wasn't just the speaking, but it was our actual physicality and the naturalness that would come along with it, the body language that would come along with it. We did, and then sometimes, you know, we often rehearsed at what we called the Frenzy House and Frenzy Wing, which was Nikki Blackmer's family's home. And so we'd frequently have her parents or somebody else that would be there. And so we would run a bit, like we had a Macarena shtick one year where we were doing something, and we accidentally, while we were just doing stuff, made mistakes, and they were watching and they're like, yeah, that's it, do that. And I was like, well, I didn't plan for that. That wasn't supposed to happen. But, you know, you let it go, and it's like, yeah, that worked. So you go with that. And so you have to make the space for that flexibility that everybody's already said. And also being willing to take some risks. Sometimes we like to be safe. It would have been very easy for us to fall back on doing sort of the same thing all the time. But I believe, anyway, it was our goal, and I hope we achieved it, that in trying to keep it fresh and evolving, we were able to venture forward and do just a little bit more each year. You know, one year we had a light up dress, and the next year we did tearaway, and the next year, you know, as our swan set, we had a whole chorus come out. So it was always like, it wasn't just that we were trying to one up ourselves. It was like we wanted to keep it fresh and surprising for the audience. So again, every decision, every question was, how is this going to impact the audience? How can we be as true to ourselves in the process? And why are we doing it?
Awesome. Jan, can you kind of talk more about the Lionsgate approach to the exact same question, really?
Yeah, for sure. And again, the culture is so important. Knowing who you are, it doesn't matter whether it's a quartet or a chorus. You know, I think we at Lionsgate, and Judy will remember this as well, we have wavered from who we are occasionally. And every time we do that, it isn't successful. It not only isn't successful, it doesn't feel right. And so when we finally kind of went, okay, who are we really? Well, you know, we're not going to have the beautiful sophistication of Veronica, for instance. We're not going to have the precision of North Metro. We're going to be kind of this unbridled, funny, innovative, fall down, freezing sort of ragamuffin, you know, chorus that has a lot of energy and a lot of spirit. And so what does that mean then when we're thinking about, you know, how we work together? It means that at the get-go, we want to get a lot of input from people. We want to make sure that every piece of what we do is aligned with who we are. And that means it's a collective effort. And I think people have talked about that, you know, starting big, getting input from everyone. Then, you know, logistically, you've got to narrow it down. We always make sure, though, that we have mechanisms in place for people to give ongoing feed forward, I call it. So every suggestion, you know, we don't necessarily take it, but it always leads to something else. And the getting the buy-in from everybody, especially when we're asking them to be very flexible.
Can you talk about props and all that as well, please?
Yeah, for sure. And of course, as you know, well, it's just my aesthetic. I love props and costumes and theater. That's my background. So our last finals package, we actually were very pared that down a lot. It was very clean in that regard because it is a lot of work. You start adding those visual elements in and really primarily have to ask yourself, are they actually moving the story forward? Are they necessary, or is this just something I want to do? Like, for instance, in the Grinch package, as soon as we did the Swedish part, I said, oh my God, we need to have giant Allen keys for IKEA. And I didn't necessarily get a lot of people that thought that was a great idea for a long time. But there's things that, you know, I just knew it would be hilarious. But so there's things that you know, as Judy said, there's things that you have to give up. And there's also things that you've got to, you know, hold your conviction with as an artistic leader. And I think, you know, as soon as they changed it international to the entertainment package, and there's a lot more freedom with that.
Yeah.
The expectation and the hope was in doing that it would be a full entertainment package. And so visual elements are part of that. They changed the rules so that we didn't have to just all show up in the same costume. So they relaxed the rules for that very reason. So you know, we just thought, oh, this is perfect. This is right up our alley. Let's take advantage of that. Let's add as much as we can, and let's make it really interesting, because, you know, Judy's got the audience in her visual or her virtual square there, but you know, when you're at international, you're in a huge stadium. So what's gonna leap? You know, of course, the music has to connect and come off the stage. But you also have to come off the stage as energies and personalities as well. And so all that extra stuff, as long as it's not gratuitous, can really help forward the motion on that.
Awesome.
Can I say two things about props real quick?
Yeah.
Just to continue adding to what Jan was just saying. In the context of international in a stadium, you have to keep in mind, if you're planning to use a prop, that it's large enough or visible enough that it can be seen, because you can't necessarily rely on in that moment the camera person being on the prop so that the entire stadium understands what's going on. Does that make sense? So
yes,
that's something. Oftentimes you'll have oversized props for that reason, or, you know, color or whatever the case may be, to help it stand out and focus the audience attention. The other thing about props, really important, is to make sure you have enough time to practice with them and expect that something will go wrong, and to keep moving on just because. It can't just be something you pick up the day of to try and work in.
I just want to hop on that too, Judy, because I think making sure that the chorus members are really comfortable with the props is huge.
Lisa Greenough, do you want to add something as well for this
I was just going to speak to when Jan had brought up how it changed to the entertainment package in terms of the judging at the international level. That was a real benefit, I think, to those choruses who we had watched for so many years, and quartets for so many years, produce these amazing, entertaining, you know, thoroughly enjoyable packages. Here was these amazing productions that were being done that it felt like it just didn't even out at the end of the day. And I think our membership felt that too. You know, there were so many times you'd hear the grumblings after an international, you know, well, they chose the wrong winner. Well, musically, no, they probably didn't. They got that right. But they didn't make us laugh, or they didn't make us cry, or they didn't, you know, I didn't have an experience watching that performance.
Yeah, and I think international, our organization is learning and growing and evolving, and they are flexible and bringing in newer, you know, opportunities for all of us. Thank you for that. That's very important, actually, because it's a recent change. Before I go, is there more that you want to add? Because I could sit here and talk to you guys all day. Yes, Jan.
I don't know whether it's really been addressed, but I thought it might be of interest, because it's been asked a lot of us, is how do you get your ideas? Like, what do you choose the songs first? Did you And the answer is all of the above. So it can go backwards or forwards. It can come from your repertoire. My thing always is, to me, it always seems awkward to me when you shoehorn, somebody used that word, I love that, when you shoehorn an existing repertoire song into a package that really, you know, it's just shoehorned in there because you had it in your repertoire, not that it actually fit the package. And I think when we're talking about an entertainment package now, it's really important that everything has to connect and make sense why it's there.
Mm-hmm. That's a great contribution. I think the song shouldn't obviously be shoehorned in, but sometimes you just have that one song, and it's that one song that you need to get in there. And sometimes there is no good lead line into it, or MC into it. So you got to figure out a way to capture it somehow.
I had a chorus once that we scripted in that the character in the package went into a dreamscape and suddenly sang their contest song. Because there was no way to fit their contest song into the package that they had built for themselves. The one thing I did want to say, though, I always encourage, not just with regular contest, but also with Open Division or Harmony Classic or whatever, you need to read that JCDB, right? It's like going into a game and not reading the rule book.
Yeah.
It's really going to help spell out a lot of the things that they hire the coaches to come in and do, right? Like when Lisa was talking about the pacing and and Janice mentioned the arc of the story, and you know, all of these pieces and information are included in those descriptors. So knowing that and knowing that that's what you're working to build, right? It's a great place to start. You know, some choruses and quartets are intimidated by Open Division because it just looks like too muchy. So I encourage that they go and they read that guidebook. It's almost like a checklist. Okay, what are they going to be looking for in this area of the package? Oh, they're going to be looking at pacing. Okay, what does our pacing look like? Let's take a look at that and see if our pacing is good or needs improvement, or is our script clear? Is our theme clear? Does it get muddy? You know, it gives you a good checklist to kind of go through and ensure that you've got some of those elements looked at.
Great information. Yes, Lynn.
Pat, just really quickly, going along with what Lisa just said, that booklet is gold to have, but there's also the regional educational faculty that people could hire or call in. Don't be afraid to ask somebody if this is working, have a second audience before you do it. A number of times have second, third, and fourth ears to listen to what's happening. If you can't afford a coach, I know that there are coaches out there. There are people out there that can help you. Just reach out.
Great advice. I think Judy, did you have first?
Yeah. I just wanted to also add, I know that you broke this down, Pat, into Open Division and Harmony Classic and finals packages, but at the end of the day, entertainment is entertainment. And so I personally don't see a big distinction between preparing an Open Division package per se. Again, knowing the why, what's the purpose, it's always about entertaining the audience. And all these elements go into that. Of course, there are different considerations. You know, timing is different, the amount of time you have or what you might have available to you. For example, at international finals and Harmony Classic, you might have lighting options, whereas you wouldn't have them at Open Division. You know, the mic availability, microphone availability. As I mentioned before, props, making sure they're big enough for the stage and the venue. So obviously there are particular considerations, but at the end of the day, what's entertaining is entertaining across the board. So I think that if you're a chorus or quartet considering putting together an Open Division package or what have you, it's try not to be overwhelmed by all this stuff. Just remember what you think is entertaining when you go to any kind of performance, whether it's a barbershop performance or a different type of performance. What are those elements that really connect with you as an audience member? And then try to bring that into your planning and your packaging, and your scripting and your rehearsing and your performing and all of it.
And Janice, if you could talk a little bit about the pros and what was the membership like? How were they approaching it?
I love giving this small chorus perspective because we are quite small. At first it was trepidation, you know, everybody was a little scared, like, oh, I can't do this. Are you kidding? What are they asking me to do? No way. And we watched the chorus members slowly evolve into wanting to try something, and we ended up in the end with a big sense of pride in accomplishment when we completed the performance package so successfully, and watched the members' personal growth and them pushing themselves outside of their comfort zone, and they really got into characterization a lot more, and there was so much personal growth and benefit that it made doing that so much more worthwhile.
Yeah. The opportunities for growth as performers, period, full stop, huge, if we just are brave and courageous enough to take the risk.
But just building on that, I think what the open division does, what all the entertainment packages do, doesn't matter what it is it allows people to bring themselves to a performance in a different way. And the way you can use, I mean, everything doesn't have to be exactly the same. And that gives an incredible amount of freedom to individuals. And the thing that I notice is the increase in confidence level, not just as performers, but how that also then, which of course I'm happy about, it goes out into their normal life, their regular life. Because, you know, they've been on stage and they've fallen down backwards and sideways and done, well, you can do anything if you do that.
Yeah. And people love you even more.
And somebody mentioned this, getting feedback, feed forward throughout the process. Doesn't matter whether you're small, big, whatever. You can videotape what you have. Doesn't matter where you're located. Send it to somebody for input.
Yeah.
We get family members to come to rehearsal and sit there and we say, here's your task. We want notes on these things. We listen to what they laugh at and what they don't laugh at. Because they're very different than Sweet Adeline audiences often.
That's very true.
And we want to make sure what we do transcends. So just keep asking people to listen and give you feedback whenever you can.
You know, some of the things that I've sort of understood all my life in front of any kind of audience is self-deprecating humor is my go-to, because if I'm laughing at myself, so are you. And if I'm pointing a finger and laughing at something else, that is not funny to me. Like, yes, you can have a theme and everything, but as long as you're incorporating your own modesty in it, there's a modesty level that needs to happen along with the entertainment in a way. And I know in my view, you're always trying to encourage people to take that step and be brave and do all those wonderful things, but there's a humanness that needs to be there as well. Is there anything we shouldn't do?
Anything that isn't G-rated.
Okay.
I often find it challenging when in the pit, when packages are a little questionable. Like,
questionably
if it's a joke you wouldn't tell in front of your grandchild, then it probably shouldn't make it to the stage. Then I think a lot of choruses and quartets need to ensure that as they're working through their scripting, that the humor, it's specifically the humor. I haven't really encountered anything emotional that I was like, oh, that made me a little uncomfortable. I haven't experienced stuff like that, but I've certainly experienced humor that has made me go, ooh, you know, that's there's a
has come up with
our audience that just took that in the gut or something, right? Like, we need to make sure that our humor is safe for everyone.
Judy?
I was just going to add that it's not just humor. I mean, I've been in the pit where there's been discussions about, let's just say, the sexiness level or what have you, where people feel uncomfortable from that. So I think at the end of the day, it's knowing your audience and keeping again, coming back to what I said before, everything comes with how is this going to impact the audience question through that lens, and how might this be perceived? And somebody once said, I can't remember who it was now, but some brilliant person once said, if you have to ask, like if you're wondering, should I do this? I think you have your answer. Like, don't.
Jan?
I was just going to say that a consideration, I think your question was what stop doing, but it's more a start doing perhaps, especially with all the work in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion, to actually, yeah, we have a song assessment tool now, which is wonderful, but to look at the package that your entertainment package as well, and is it reinforcing stereotypes of whatever kind? Is it current in terms of the current world that we live in? So I guess that's a start doing maybe, or not a stop.
What shouldn't we do is what I asked, and I think you're bang on. What we shouldn't do is not consider the climate of the world, the diversity and inclusion work that we're all doing, and all that. So that's excellent advice. Janice, and then Lisa Hills.
Yeah, my other shouldn't do from the small chorus perspective is don't impede the quality of the singing, the quality of the vocals with all your props and all your things that you really want to achieve in your entertainment. Try to keep that balance of good singing with all of the entertainment stuff as well.
Yeah. Perfect.
Well, and I think along the lines of what everybody else has said about those trusted advisors, bringing in ones from outside that can give you a fresh eye. So, I mean, some of our packages are definitely, if it's designed and aimed for the Sweet Adeline audience and is going to have inside jokes, obviously they're not going to get that. But one of the purposes of the entertainment package was to work with, to have groups do stuff so that they can go out in their community and perform. And so you want to be working packages that you can take out into a broader world audience. And so having people from outside watch your packages and give you feedback to say, yeah, that did entertain me, or I didn't really get that, or, you know, that seemed really kind of old-fashioned, if you will. If you can do more of that, the more that we can do that as an organization, the more I think we'll become more broadly appealing in the world, along with all of the other things that we've just mentioned.
Just a little wrap up here now that we've finished our discussion. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed it. All I really hope is that it generated a little spark of interest in you, if perhaps you've never attempted this kind of thing before, and maybe you have and you're accomplished on the stage, but maybe you heard something new and valuable that you'd like to add to your toolkit. Again, I also want to thank my panel, who is Janice Caravan, Janice Carley, Lisa Greenough, Lisa Hills, Judy Pozgay, and Lynn Tatten. And again, I'm Pat Fry, and we're Region 26, and we hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.